at all last updated information, then you should really consider not using the source. You have to include the date of access when you're citing websites. All right, let's talk about format for a minute. Again, these are taken from student work. So how would we fix this first one? Well, for one thing, it's on Wikipedia, so let's take a look. We have a really good and thorough entry on Marie Antoinette and ABC Clio. So why would you choose the Wikipedia entry when you know it's going to get you into trouble? First, and you're also missing the URL here. There's a great deal of trouble with the date. And there's no underlining. So this is a really problematic entry. It could be totally resolved with ABC Clio and proper formatting. So no points, good points. All right, here we have, again, Marie Antoinette. This is, we can't really tell what it is, but it's a website, and the person left off the web address. So this is how we would fix that one. And you can take a look at the difference. You can see we added the URL. We put that space between royalty and you. You write the web name as it is on the top of the page. I'm not saying I would recommend this, but somebody actually did put this in. This is a CD-ROM. It's an act of desperation. But if you are going to use a CD-ROM, this is the proper citation for the CD-ROM. Place of publication can be a little bit tricky with books. I just want to point out that you would write the city of publication with a colon, and then the publisher. You do not write the state, and you can abbreviate some cities, but if you're not sure which ones to abbreviate, the best way to find out is to look them up in the MLA Guide to Writers of Research Papers. Very often, publishers will have more than one city on a book. So in this case, Little Brown and Company, New York, Boston. In that case, you would just use the first city. Database names should always be underlined, and they should be followed by the service, but the service is not always clear. For example, Gale products always have the service name, but ProQuest products don't necessarily have the service name. So you could do ProQuest Information and Learning for ProQuest Platinum, but that's kind of redundant, so we're not married to that. But in Gale, you should use Gale. A database citation should always include the library name. Make sure you branch out when you're doing your bibliography. There's nothing more tedious than looking at a bibliography that looks like this. This is legitimate. This was in somebody's paper. I'm not making this up. Honestly. ABC Clio, Encyclopedia Britannica, and Wikipedia. First of all, Wikipedia is unacceptable. Second of all, if you're choosing to do 3 encyclopedias, and the ABC Clio, for the record, is an encyclopedia. If you're choosing to use 3 encyclopedias for your bibliography, you've got a problem because you haven't done enough research. You really need to dig deeper than that. You need to look at some periodical articles. You need to look at some reference books. You need to look at some nonfiction books. You really need to do more depth. You hear about breadth and depth as you do your research. This is not enough depth. This is really lame research, frankly. Okay, can you tell we just switched locale? The volume went out on the last slide of that last recording, so I'm trying to catch up, and hopefully I will patch carefully. All right, I was telling you about how it's important to respect your reader. In this particular bibliography, the student not only numbered their sources, which is just maddening. Your sources should be alphabetized but not numbered, nor grouped in any other order than alphabetical. The student chose to use a textbook, and I suppose that's fine for a sort of introductory overview to your topic, but then you need to delve into deeper resources, and I think I mentioned that earlier. The second source used was a website, and you'll notice that it says ThinkQuest in the URL for that website. And a ThinkQuest is generally an elementary school student project. So this student chose to cite so far the textbook and elementary school student work. All right, that leaves us with number 3. Ah, yes, Frank Smitha. I'll stop there. The last resource is actually almost amusing, except it was frustrating for me as the grader of these bibliographies. I was feeling a little bit insulted at this point because no library would have the New Columbia Encyclopedia on its shelf. 1975 is far outdated, and my guess is this is something that was remnant that was found in some part of this student's house. It's 11 o'clock at night. The French Revolution project is done. All I need left to do is the bibliography. Let me run into my parents' library and see what's on the shelves that I could actually use for this project. And here, I'll cite the tennis court oath from the New Columbia Encyclopedia. It's such an obvious effort to just complete a 4-item bibliography that it doesn't do it. So as the reader and as the person who's grading this bibliography, I feel like, what do you take me for? So that's the 4th resource. So far this kid actually has nothing that provides any depth. The only resource of value is the textbook. Everything else is useless. So instead of having 4 sources, the student has 1 source, and even that one is definitely marginal. So respect your reader. Understand that we're going to be looking at the bibliography, wondering how you did your research, and this shows that the student did absolutely no research, or at least, at very best, very superficial research. So be mindful of the reader and what's going on in their head. Thanks.